Support for the show can be you. Go to patreon.lux.b and sign up there to get access to ad-free shows and a lot of other behind-the-scenes goodies. Lux Media just relaunched the merch shop, and there's a lot of new stuff going up all the time. Shop.lvx.be and get yourself hooked up. Patreon subscribers, that's patreon.lvx.be, get 20% off codes every single month. So it's ad-free and it's discounts. I don't know what else more you want.
Hello and
Welcome
welcome to
Alternate
f***ing
Casuals.
What makes you
fucking
casual?
it don't matter.
What you know.
Fucking
All right, you guys ready?
yeah.
All right. The ultimate fucking casuals back up in your ears. Oh, we have a new, the companion thing I think that we did while we were watching 313 it's going to be, I think that's good. It'll tide you over until we get to 313 next week. But Nathan, Isaac, how you guys doing?
I'm
Good.
doing all right.
Suffering from the mid card last night, but other than that, ready to rock and roll.
Yeah. Despite the time change, I was able to get some good rest. Also, despite the shitty card, like Nathan said.
All right. Well, fucking boxing stuff, extending the olive branch to the B-sides. First things first, on March 1st, Gervonta Davis has a interesting result against Lamont Roach. Interesting to say the least. Are there any other undercard fights you guys want to talk about? Like for me, it's just Rayo and maybe a little bit of Puello Martin. But
Yeah, I mean, Gar, he looked really good. I gotta say,
incredible.
He looks like he could be, but he could unify some titles in that division for sure. I think.
Yeah, looking like that, absolutely.
Yeah,
Did Rayo have a bad night or what? I don't know.
I think
Curious.
he's just simply was not as good as Russell was. Honestly, it was like a massive speed disadvantage, and then Russell just seemed smarter. I mean, Rayo just couldn't get started at all.
Yeah.
I mean, as soon as he would land something, Russell would immediately respond. So like there was no momentum building for Rayo.
I feel like Ryo fights are kind of weird because he goes, like, we've seen how good he can be, but he kind of fluctuates from performance to performance is exactly what kind of fighter you're going to see from him. He's not very consistent.
It's too bad.
Yeah. I mean, he potentially lost this fight 12-0. Like, on the card, this is like near a clean sweep if it wasn't.
I think the performance was bad enough that I'm gonna call it a 12-0. Just like that's how bad of an embarrassment it was.
Yeah. No rematch clause, so
that's an interesting level of confidence to have.
Yeah.
Or his promoter fucked him on that one.
Oof.
Either way.
But in the main event, speaking of getting fucked, Lamont Roach gets fucked out of his rightful victory. A knee in the 9th round from Gervonta Davis does not get counted, despite the referee beginning to count. I don't. Is the people's champ Lamont Roach? What do you guys think?
Has to be. First, from the Gervonta side, I mean, just a pants-shitting level performance from him against what should have been a cherry pick, and yet Roach comes in here up a weight class against a caliber fighter he's never seen before, and he turns in the performance of his life, and it gets taken away from him. I mean, I honestly didn't know who this guy was when the fight was announced, but like, I mean, you have to consider me a fan now. I mean, massive respect to him for taking that kind of leap and then performing the way he did. What's kind of sad is they're probably going to do this rematch, and I think Gervonta is going to actually, fix up the issues that he had this time around, and he'll probably knock Roach out. And in the rematch, which is a shame just because history may forget this performance from Roach.
Yeah, I mean, just to echo some stuff, like I'm a Tank fan, but, like I'm a boxing fan first. I mean, the knee going down in the 9th round, that it just was a knockdown, and I don't know why it was not counted. And he should have lost, man. David probably should have lost. It was a great performance by Roach, but man, this Tank looked terrible, I gotta say. And you know, it sort of sucks for Roach just because this is supposed to be his moment, you know, both like financially and like to put a stamp like on boxing. But man, he's not gonna get it. I mean, he'll get the rematch, I suppose. But yeah, I do think Tank will fix the issues that he had in this fight and KO him in the next. But man, this was a very lackluster performance by Tank. He looked really rough.
It is funny because we were talking about in the previews to this fight, like how do you beat a guy like Tank when he so consistently is able to get to his spot and like he will just catch you? And it's like, well, I guess one of the strategies to beat him is just banking on the fact that he just won't catch you, right? That he could not find his moment at all against Roach, right? And I guess, I don't know, is that something? Because I remember we had a couple Tank fights back in the day. The one I'm coming to mind, I'm drawing a blank on his name. Give me a second.
Pitbull, Raleigh.
No, when he fought Gamboa back in the day, when Gamboa was like 40, and like he Tank won that fight, but it was sort of like, well, that was kind of a lackluster decision win. Or no, I think it was maybe a 12th round stoppage, but it took him 12 rounds to put away a 40-year-old with like a torn up knee. So it's been a while since we've seen a performance that, you know, we had to turn our noses up at Davis, but Tank must have halfway through the Roach fight. He didn't know what he was in there. He didn't realize he was boxing, but yeah, it's been a while since we've seen him kind of drop the ball on a performance. Like, is it reasonable to think that, is this kind of performance repeatable, or is it more to the fact that Roach came out and fought in a way that prevented Tank from actually getting to his spots and countering effectively?
Yeah, I mean, it just seemed like Roach was fighting like he was not scared. And I mean, I feel like whenever people fight Tank, they sort of fight backing up. I mean, Martin did that against Tank. I don't know. I feel like Roach just, because they fought each other in the amateurs, right?
Yeah, that's what
like
they said.
Like they've had experience with each other before. I mean, I don't know, man. Roach just sort of seemed like he did not care about Tank's power. I mean, whenever Tank landed, Roach would immediately respond. So like Tank would never string anything together. There was like no real forward pressure coming towards Roach. So I mean, in this fight, at least, it seemed like Roach had Tank figured out.
This is one of the downsides to having a low output style like Tank does, because if your default is not to like immediately fall back to something like, you know, an active jab or you know, you're stalking forward, you're throwing out a lot of feeler punches, like it's easy. I feel like it's easier in some ways to adjust when you sort of have the little routine to fall back on. You're like, okay, well, that's not working, but I can fall back to this, and I can just start, you know, kind of throwing out my bread and butter until I can, you know, reset. Tank doesn't really have that. He sort of just is constantly looking down his opponent and trying to find an opening. And it's like, well, if your opponent never gives you the opening, it's sort of like the Alex Pereira fight we just watched, which we'll get to later. But I guess that is a downside of having a low output style where your only real focus is like, well, how do I land a big punch?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the style of my offense is based on your output, not mine. And because I was thinking, like, someone who did fight coming forward, seemingly unafraid, was Raleigh, whatever his other faults are. He did put a lot of pressure on, and that ended up being his undoing. And when Roach didn't put forward pressure onto Tank, he had nothing in the reserves. It seemed like he was just expecting Roach to come out guns blazing like everyone else tries to do.
Yeah, I mean, it was just bad all around. But yeah, Tank should have lost. That's just
He
keep it real.
lost. One more boxing thing coming up. It's a card in Australia. Like, look, the MMA schedule's pretty light as well. So we're scraping the bottom of the barrel here. One fun thing about this card: this young, formerly a rugby player, his name is Tonga Tongo, and you already know I love fun names. So keep an eye on him. He's moving down from cruiserweight. That's pretty cool. He's kind of short and stocky, a la Volkanovski. So this is a good move for him. Keith Thurman, I'm struggling to care, just because he's been out for like 3 years or something. So I'm not sure why he's still trying to mount a comeback.
His career is just fucking tragic, man. Like, he, at the height of his powers, he has 2 excellent wins against like prime Sean Porter and Danny Garcia, and right as he's about to be like, you know, the Spence fight or the Crawford fight could be happening next, the guy gets injured and is never the same.
Yeah. The comeback against Barrios was nice, but then he got injured again.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a really weird career.
That's all right.
Nice little Wednesday fight, though.
Tonga will hold us. He'll keep us fed. Moving into MMA, so we got one review, and that's Manel Kape and his dub. Is there anything on the moving up the prelims worth mentioning? Charles Johnson. How could you do this to me?
Yeah, I guess the Pinto and Lane KO was nice, but yeah, I don't really see.
Oh yeah,
else.
that was a big KO.
Yeah.
And then moving up, Ribovic drops the ball. What happened here?
I mean, I knew the guy he was fighting was going to be good, but yeah, I mean, he absolutely lost. I think I forget who, because Nasrat he's fought some good people. You know, yeah, I really did think Ribovic was going to win, but
Cody Brundage gets the quick stoppage. That's always fun. I don't know. Can you take away a lot from these?
I mean, only that, like, it was for a fight night card. I mean, it was an awesome 4.5 minute slugfest.
yeah, like this fight doesn't really mean a lot. I gotta say.
None of these fights do. They're all very.
Yeah.
Thankfully, we got entertainment out of it. That's the good news.
Yeah, at the very least, it wasn't like the decision type card.
Well, headlining, Manel Kape gets the stoppage in 3 over 8th rated Asu Almobayev.
Now, this was a stoppage in air quotes, right? Because this was a IPOK clinic, wasn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Oh boy, another one.
Yeah. Where have we seen this before?
I don't know. It's so weird. This never happens.
It was twice as well. He got eye poked, right? Or like scraped.
Mhm.
It wasn't
Yeah.
too much of a poke, but yeah. I mean, Kape definitely was winning, but I mean, you can't just like ignore like the scraping of the eye. Like it definitely affected Almobayev's vision. I mean, I don't know, man. It's just Aisha has been stopping a lot of fights recently, and no points taken.
Didn't they move from the new gloves back to the old style?
Yeah, we're back to the original gloves. I don't know if the new gloves were. I mean, they didn't really happen for that long, so like, we don't know if they were actually reducing the number of eye pokes. But I mean, we're back to what we had before.
Well,
But I mean, I will say that Kape did look good against Almobayev. I mean, he was outstriking him on the feet. I mean, he's probably gonna get a title shot soon. I would assume, like, I'm assuming they did Kai Kara France versus Pantoja. I don't know if it's been announced yet. They'll probably announce it somewhat soon, but I'm assuming after that, depending on who wins, they do Kape versus the winner of that fight. So, I mean, he'll get a good rub off this Kape will.
he didn't move up in the rankings. Almobayev did move down 1.
Yeah, I mean, this division has just been sort of murdered by Pantoja, though. So even though he's number 6. I feel like the ranking doesn't mean too much at flyweight.
Just got to get new faces in with Pantoja at some point.
Yeah, and like Cop has already fought him once, even so. It's still. I mean, Pantoja has fought so many people in this division and beat him.
Well, that's no fun. Man, this is quick. Unless you guys got anything more for this pretty mid, and mid I think is being a little generous to this UFC Fight Night number 253. That's fun.
Yeah, I mean, we could add like the UFC 314 stuff to this.
What?
Since they announced it, that's like the Diego Lopez, Volkanovski.
We did that last time.
Oh yeah, we did. Yeah, you're right. Yeah. Damn. Okay. Yeah, and there's really real life.
One of the fight cards of all time. So I mean, there's that.
Yeah, definitely happened.
Support for this episode is from Malwarebytes. Protecting yourself online is an absolute must, and it takes a lot more than just an antivirus to keep yourself safe in an ever-evolving world of attack sophistication. I've been working in IT for almost 20 years, and I've been trusting my personal network security to Malwarebytes for most of it. The browser add-on is another nice feature that keeps your system healthy if, let's just say, you want to watch sports on less than reputable websites. Combine that with real-time 24/7 intrusion detection and you're already cooking. I have the standard subscription package, which includes 24/7 malware protection, ad blocking, and protection from ransomware and phishing attacks. I use this on all of the computers that are in my network and even my phone. If you want to step it up to the Plus package, you'll also get the VPN in addition to everything else, which is, useful for watching random sports in Japan or Eastern Europe, if you are so inclined to do that. Start your 14-day free trial today and see the range of options Malwarebytes has to offer. And when, not if, you're impressed and ready to get the subscription, go to mwb.lux.b, get 50% off your subscription. mwb.lvx.be. Support for this episode is from Ramen Bay. Whether you're a student living in a dorm, busy professional grabbing a quick lunch, or simply a ramen enthusiast looking for an easy upgrade, Ramen Bay is the answer. It's not just about convenience, it's about quality. Made with only the finest ingredients, freeze-dried to lock in the freshness and the flavor, each packet is a carefully crafted concoction to deliver a balanced and delicious taste. If you enjoy ramen, like actual ramen, with good broth, good noodles, good flavor, these additions are a must. My personal favorites, the enoki mushrooms add a lovely little crunch that hides inside of the noodles, and the oyster mushrooms make the flavor rich and makes the meal feel a lot heartier. The original blends are also pretty good. I recommend checking out the kimchi style, just my suggestion. Pour it into the water as you're boiling your noodles up and you're good to go. Say goodbye to bland, boring bullshit and hit up the bay for ramen and chill. If you want to get 10% off every order and you want to help us out a little bit in the process, go to ramen.lux.b. Gotta be honest with you, as I'm finishing recording this, I'm about to go make some. Thinking about enoki mushrooms got me grumbling a little bit. So check out the Ramen Bay with this link, ramen.lvx.be. Get 10% off every order. All right, let's move into the preview section then. One Friday Fights, number 100. These are, if nothing else, comedic value for the names that we find in here. I just copied it in kind of quickly and didn't see it. One fight that's honestly worth watching is Jasuyai versus Denis Puric. Puric is really intense. It's a Muay Thai fight, so it'll be fucking rough to watch regardless of what happens. What do we got in here? Super Ye Chan. That's great. Keep doing that.
Name.
Shadow Singha Mauen.
Yeah, Singha's a beer.
Why names?
Yeah. Shadow Beer Mawin. Great.
Oh.
But nothing. If nothing else, there's always knockouts. Purich is entertaining. There's always fun fights on these. This is their prospect series, so these are like the young guys trying to get a contract. So they are fighting their asses off.
There's always like some good highlights that come out of these cards.
Absolutely.
At the very least, even if you don't know any fighters.
Purich, I'm surprised they moved him down to this because he was fighting on fight nights and numbered events, but I don't know. I guess he's been on a skid. Well, speaking of skids, got UFC Fight Night 254. Oh, anything on the prelims? I don't recognize any of these people.
I'm looking through it.
Is Carlos Vera related to Cheeto Vera?
Is he Ecuadorian?
Yeah, he is Ecuadorian.
All right, maybe then.
His nickname is Pequeño.
Let's see. For the prelims, I guess I know Ryan Spann and Acosta, like the future prelim.
Yeah.
Ryan Spann was a prospect at one point. I think his last fight out was actually pretty decent. He got a nice KO. But man, this is. Yeah, I mean that's probably the first fight I'm gonna start watching. And
Well, see, here's the good news about when we get like cards like this is that there ends up being some of the best fights of the year on these unassuming, no one knows who anyone is cards, which is kind of the fun thing about unranked fights is everyone's trying to prove something typically. And so I bet we'll get some fun finishes out of this.
Highlight reels for sure.
dude, hopefully.
I have no idea who those people will be because I don't know who any of these people are, but definitely worth turning on just in case. Free fight on ESPN.
Yeah, I mean, there's some names on the main event or on the main card. There's some names.
Why would you
Very
name
few.
yourself Tiny? It would make sense if you're like a heavyweight. You're like 6'7", 250 pounds. Get after it, Carlos. Whatever works for you. Right. So into the main portion. I'm still struggling with names here. Su Young Yu versus AJ Cunningham at bantamweight. Damon Blackshear, I recognize him. Versus Cody Gibson at bantam. Alexander Hernandez versus Kurt Holabau, lightweights. Sung Woo Choi versus Kevin Vallejos at feather. Chidi and Jokuani, I recognize that name. Versus Elizu Zaleski dos Santos at welter. And capping it off, Martin Vettori versus Roman Dolidze. What a fun fight night. Man, I'm definitely calling everybody I know, making sure that they watch it.
Yeah,
The crowd is going mild.
Quite.
Yeah, get the boys together. Yeah, this is going to be on in the background. I will say though, I will probably watch, like I said, the featured prelim with Ryan Spann, Damon Blackshear. He's had
Blackshear is
some
worth
SKOs.
watching
Yeah,
for sure.
Blackshear's a
He
good
has some
name.
SKOs. And then, I mean, I watched the main event. Vittori sometimes is good, but even that might not even be that good. But yeah, this is something that you can definitely have on in the background. You know, if you've got something else planned that day already, go ahead and do that.
Yeah, probably do that instead.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, listen, we have this is like the sacrifice. These are like the type of cards that we have to offer as a sacrifice to get the really good pay-per-view cards. This is the price. This is the price you pay.
Su Young Yu and AJ Cunningham were sacrifices on the altar of the gods of war.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. These are the type of cards that let us have a UFC 314. This is a sacrifice.
I was thinking the Mackenzie Dern Amanda Hebus card a while back. That looking at it was complete dog shit just on paper. I mean, that's the perception that we had of it, if I'm remembering correctly. And that turned out to have a lot of entertaining fights on it. So sometimes you got to take a gamble.
Yeah, I mean, hopefully it's at least the fights. I mean, there's not a lot of like name value, but hopefully the fights themselves. We have some good action, some nice like highlight reels. Maybe we can get some viral moments going on Twitter, new figures that emerge from these fight nights. But we'll see. I mean, hopefully.
I have two pieces of MMA news. One of them serious, one of them like seriously laugh out loud funny. But I was thinking maybe we could talk about the Ilia Topuria tweet where he said, if you or when we announce my next fight, you won't believe it. Do we have any, first of all, like what's the reasonable take you guys have on that? Who do you think he's fighting next? And then what's like the wild card that I think people would be blindsided by?
My reasonable guess would be Dustin Poirier, depending on how much Ilia wants to wait. Maybe Justin Gaethje, because he just had a good outing. Those are my reasonable guesses. As for Wilds, you go ahead, Isaac. I'm gonna try to dig into the catacombs here. See what.
Yeah. For me, as far as like reasonable guesses go, man, I sort of want to see the Islam Ilia fight. That would sort of be my reasonable guess, I guess. And as far as wild fights go, like I've had this conversation with Nathan, and what he proposed was actually very, very intriguing. And I'll let him say it since this is his piece of news.
Yeah, well, I guess my initial take would be probably Islam. That makes the most sense. The other one that would make sense would be Charles Oliveira, but I think the wild card one, I think that really would blow people's minds, would be Conor McGregor. Like genuinely out of nowhere, we're pretty sure we've written Conor off from coming back, but like as far as like a personality clash, like that would set the world on fire. But maybe before we talk about that, I guess another one I would throw out, I was actually going to suggest, what if he just skipped lightweight altogether and went to welterweight? Like that would be something that would be like, that would make no sense.
Would not expect that one bit.
Like what if he was like next in line to fight Bilal or something like that? That doesn't make any sense, but like, I mean, basically nothing else would surprise me besides, I guess, the Conor fight.
The Conor fight would be true. Like, if they were ever to announce that fight, the day that they announced it, I think that would actually be like one of those internet breaking moments. It would go instantly viral. I mean, people would be going live and like immediately talking about it. It would be an insane day on like combat sports social media if that fight got announced. I mean, that would be insane. I still don't know how much weight I like would put on it, just for the fact that, will Conor McGregor actually show up on fight night? But just purely the announcement, man. I mean, that fight would be pretty hype. I will admit. The press conference, the fight itself. I mean, you have like two dangerous strikers. We always talk about Topuria having sort of a similar rise that Conor McGregor had. They started at featherweight, got brutal knockouts over the champion, and then now we're talking about moving up to lightweight. So I mean, there's a lot of similarities between both careers. For them just to intersect like this, I mean, it would be a mega fight.
Yeah, I think it would actually be the outside of a John Jones Tom Aspinall fight, it would be the biggest fight they could make, which is, I guess, is true of any Conor fight, right? But this would really be this would be mind-boggling. They're two biggest personalities on the same stage.
Yeah, I mean, if they promote it right, I mean, they do press conferences, properly in multiple places. I mean, I don't know where they would actually hold the event itself. But if they promote it right, I mean, that's easily going to get over a million pay-per-views, I would assume. Like, as long as they do everything that they need to do prior to the fight. I mean, they could easily sell that fight. Easily.
I would be it would be dishonest of me to not say that I don't think that it'll happen, not because they couldn't sign it, not because they can't promote it, but just I think we've seen the last of Conor McGregor as a fighter. I don't think he has the discipline in him anymore that it takes to be an elite competitor. And if he does make it to the cage somehow, he'll get fucking murdered. I don't rate his chances after this stage of his career. I don't rate his chances very well at all.
Yeah. I will say though, like, I mean, like Nathan said, you know, Ilya and Dana White this has been for a while as well. They've been promising something super unexpected. You'll never guess, or you'll never see it coming. And like, I mean, like Nathan said, I mean, we can sort of see the Islam fight coming.
True.
You know, especially he just vacated the 145 title. We could see it, you know, a Charles fight, maybe even a Dustin fight. But a Conor McGregor, that is something I wouldn't expect just because of McGregor's recent sightings outside of the cage. I mean, this man hasn't been training. He has not been training. He's been getting into trouble outside of the ring. I mean, he's just got so much other stuff going on that fighting just seems like it would be the last thing on his mind. But if it was announced, it would be massive.
Maybe the slap his beak off comment really got to Ilya.
Oh, dude, that press conference, like, let's say they announced that fight and then that weekend or something like that, they hold like a ticket sale press conference or a launch press conference. Just the press conference itself on YouTube, that would do serious numbers. Because both are, like, you know, pretty good at trash talking. They have like this charisma about them. I mean, McGregor's a little bit past his prime when it comes to the trash talking, but I mean, there's still some of it there. It would be very intriguing to see.
Good build up.
Yeah.
Especially if it goes off in Spanish. Not having to stop and think about what he says.
Yeah. Yeah.
Something that did come up. It's a little bit more on the boxing side, but the TKO Riyadh season collaboration that's going to happen. And they're planning to have Dana White head up a boxing league of some kind, very similar to UFC. I forgot about that. Just, man, of all the people that I would want to be mixed up with sport already as crooked as boxing already is, I don't really think Dana White is a good character to mix into it. There's actually a good article on the Lux Media site about Dana White and his potential entry into boxing.
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie. If like he fully gets into it, I think boxing is sort of cooked. I mean, because they're gonna have the backing of the Saudis, some financial backing. They're gonna be able to do their little like leagues or sort of the boxing version of the Dana White Contender Series. They're probably gonna have like a TKO belt. I mean, it's just gonna get boxing is just gonna get brutalized by Dana White. It's gonna be so. He's gonna make it boring. It's sort of industrialized almost.
Yeah, I mean, I'm skeptical as to what this is even going to look like. Like, I wouldn't be surprised if this just ended up being just an official Saudi promotional arm, right? Like, I just don't think that they're going to be able to capture enough of the market to be like, okay, well, now we can run our own league and we truly have the best. Like, I don't think it's going to work like that. I think there's enough people that still are going to work with Showtime and Matchroom. Even though Matchroom does work with the Saudis, there's so much kind of independence that's baked into the boxing formula. And I mean, also just look at the pay-per-view numbers for even like, you know, on paper really good fights like the Viturbia Bivol fights. Like, they didn't exactly set the world on fire financially. So I don't know if this would be a long-term endeavor if they tried to make it a closed circuit like the UFC. So,
yeah, I mean, one of the big issues that I've been seeing recently is like the fact. I mean, it was during the Canelo and Terrence Crawford, or no, sorry, not Terrence Crawford, the Canelo and William Scholl press conference, where I mean, Turkey, and I mean, I guess by proxy, the Saudis are sort of having a little beef with the WBC belt, that whole entire organization. I mean, I don't know exactly what the extent of it is, but they're not promoting the WBC belt like they are the other belts. So I don't know. I think there's going to be I think there will be changes that come from this, but hopefully it's not like fully taken over. Like you said, hopefully it's just like, just another promoter.
I think it's weird that they're not promoting the WBC as much as the other titles. The WBC signed a deal with the Saudis for this like Grand Prix thing. It's like a World Cup, 4 weight divisions, 32 fighters per division, and then it's just a tournament format. And it's all hosted in Saudi Arabia.
I mean, it's going to be interesting to see what this looks like, I will say. And yeah. I mean, we're probably going to find out before the end of this year even. So we just have to wait and see exactly, is this going to be good? Is this going to be bad? I mean, we'll just have to find out as it develops.
Had a fun quote that I just wanted to shoehorn in just because it shits on Dana. But this is from Paulie Malignaggi. And this is one of those, like, a guy you really don't like just made a good point. Kind of what this is, but here's Paulie saying, I have never heard a single good thing said about Dana. It's either no comment or he just doesn't come up in conversation. And when he does come up in conversation, nobody can stand him. Nobody likes the guy. He's a dishonest prick, so on and so forth. So I'm just going by what people have told me in the MMA world. So fuck you, Dana. Stay away from boxing, please.
You're gonna get more promoter beef, 100%.
That actually kind of ties in to my next little brief news clip, which just Dana White's comments in light of what you just said are pretty funny. So, what's happened is that the new FBI director, Kash Patel, I guess publicly stated for some reason that he wanted the UFC to start training federal agents.
I remember
that's a good idea.
Yeah. I remember that.
And then apparently Dana White was talking about it, and he said, oh, well, he's dead serious. And, when I talked to fighters about it, all the fighters were elated to hear that Kash Patel wanted to work with them. So take that with the grain of salt that Leo just laid out a second ago.
Yeah, I mean, of course, they're like Dana White's going to be into it. But I mean, could you just imagine like Bryce Mitchell's in charge of grappling instruction for the FBI agents? I mean, this could go wrong in so many ways.
I know that UFC was heavily involved with the development of the Marine Corps martial arts program. That it was pretty new when I was joined up back in 2007. And I met a guy who, so I'm told, I never asked him directly, but he said that he knew Dana like on a first name basis. He was like I don't know, of the belt system in the military, it was like 7th degree or whatever, and that was the highest one you could get, just because he helped write the program altogether. And so the UFC was involved with that. There were MMA fighters that helped develop the program, I guess. So mixing them up with FBI, I don't think it's unrealistic. It's kind of dumb, just because the FBI doesn't have a really strong. They don't have a lot of scenarios where they're going to be in like close quarter combat with anyone. Like CIA, sure, you got you're cooking with something there, but I mean, it's not terrible. It doesn't hurt to have your field agents know how to fight properly.
Yeah, it's just gonna end up like being funny.
Yeah, it'll be silly.
They choose to be the instructors rather.
Just send all our federal agents to Dagestan for 2 to 3 years and forget.
Yeah, exactly.
Actually, who would be your picks for like the certain disciplines, like who would be your grappling pick or your striking, kicking, punching, if you want to separate them? It's like Ilya for your hands, I would say.
The thing is, they're not even American though. Like, does it have to be Americans?
Oh.
Yeah, is there? Do we have to consider the conflict of interest?
Ah,
Or
Yeah,
can we
because like
just-
Islam's Russian. I mean,
true. Have
So,
him
like,
hanging out at
I feel like we sort of-
Quantico? Probably not.
yeah, you sort of want to choose Americans for that. I feel like
Ah, that really limits the roster.
Dustin Poirier in charge of striking.
Dustin
Michael
for
Chandler-
hands, Justin for kicks.
Michael Chandler in charge of bravery. Nothing
Bravery,
else.
the dog department. Chris Weidman, the wrestling department.
No, he's the eye poke. He's or torture method.
Yeah. Oh my god. I could see John
and I-
getting into with this.
Unironically, like DC would actually be like an awesome like wrestling guy to have in the
Oh, yeah.
building.
Yeah, definitely.
An Olympic wrestler. Yeah, he's very smart.
Sean Strickland, how do we get him into the mix?
He's in charge of like confrontation training.
He's a de-escalation
I was
officer.
just about to say that. You'd want John Jones, of course. Derek Lewis, how to cool off your body when your
Yeah.
parts
Temperature
are hot.
regulation.
Yeah. Oh, that's
a lot of
lovely.
good options here.
Yeah. Man.
That's I had heard about that, so I'm not. If it does go ahead, it wouldn't surprise me all that much. This wouldn't be the first foray for UFC into getting into government stuff, but I'll still like Conor McGregor versus Topuria. I'll believe it when I see it.
Yeah. We wait.
Yeah.
That's all we can do.
Oh, that's all I got. Do you guys have anything else?
Nah. This was a bit of a light one.
Quite.
There's not much coming out at the moment. Yeah.
Yeah, same here.
Dustin Poirier is confident about McGregor's return. Chandler doesn't expect McGregor to fight again.
Yeah, of course, Chandler says that. I mean,
Yeah.
he wants the McGregor fight. I gotta say, it would be hilarious if McGregor actually returned and does not fight Chandler.
Oh, here's a fun headline. This one's a little dated, as you're about to hear. Jones versus Aspinall could happen this summer. Winner could face Pereira. Excellent. Well,
Rip.
Yep. All right, let me do this real quick. You've been listening to The Ultimate Effin' Casuals, a Lux Media production. If you'd like to give your thoughts, or you need to let us know how terrible you think our takes are, you can duck us and text our anonymous line at 833-589-7637. If you want to stand on your business, send a voice message or send a voice note in WhatsApp, and we'll see if you're interesting enough to make the final cut of the show. 833-LUXPODS. If you prefer to hit us up on social media, the account name is LVX Media Net, all one word. That's on YouTube, Instagram, Blue Sky, all of that bullshit. If you can't find us, chances are we're not on it. A lot of stuff gets cut out from the final releases, so if you want the raw audio exactly as it's recorded, look us up on Patreon. LVX Media Net, just like everywhere else. Patreon's also where you could get some ad-free versions, as well as behind-the-scenes content. Even if you don't sign up on Patreon, you can still help us out if you check out our ad sponsors. Or you can leave a rating on whatever app you're listening on, would really help a lot. And last but not least, you can check out the new merch shop, and new stuff is going up all the time. That's shop.lux.b. The metal intros by Anders Janhunen, the outros by Middle of Nowhere Beats, and for more shows like the one you just listened to, go to lvxmedia.net. All right. Outro goes there. So, what other fun things are you going to do with your weekend since UFC decided to take the fucking Saturday off? Parting words.
Dude, I'm gonna actually go watch a performance of Swan Lake, man. I'm into
That
classical
actually
music a
sounds
little
pretty
bit.
cool. That actually does sound
Yeah.
pretty cool.
I'm glad the UFC fight night is sort of shit because I would have been sad if I was missing like an actual good card. But yeah, this performance might actually be better than the UFC card.
No knees will be counted as
Yeah,
10-9s.
no eye pokes.
Yep.
Mhm. No, check yourself before you wreck yourself. Unlike Gervonta Davis, don't do what he did. Whatever the equivalent in life is for you, there, just don't do that. And yeah, I guess in lieu of UFC content, I will be playing Monster Hunter Wilds and doing something a little more entertaining.
Oh shit! I gotta get a good quote for this one. All right, here's a good one from Desmond Tutu. Hope is being able to see that there is light despite all of the darkness. It's a good one. This weekend sucks. If you're a combat sports sicko like I am, this is not very good. It's not that great on the boxing side of the house either. So, just hold out. Can't stop time. All right. Well, with that, let's get the fuck out of here. Go do other things. Go outside. Touch grass and stuff. It's good for your brain. All right.